Good day and welcome to another episode of the Data Resilience SpectrumCast, where we're doing a special edition, a set of special editions actually, that having to do with our business technology partners. And today I'm excited to bring to you Cobalt Iron as a technology partner to our data resilience portfolio. And in fact, we're going to have Chris from Cobalt Iron talk to us about who Cobalt Iron is, a little bit about what he does, talk about the technology, and then a business use case that can help you understand the value of bringing Cobalt Iron in to see your clients. But let's first start with Chris. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about Cobalt Iron.
Hi, thanks, Steve. My name is Chris Snell. I'm solutions architect here at Cobalt Iron. Ostensibly, that means that I'm a pre-sales consultant. But as with everything, it could mean a little bit of everything. So I'm involved with the sales cycle from the technical point of view is probably the best way of describing what I do day to day. But I can help out with marketing, I can help out with sales, a little bit here, a little bit there.
Great. And why don't you give us a little overview of Cobalt Iron?
Okay, so Cobalt Iron, what we do is we sell an enterprise scale data protection software solution that's delivered as a service. And that means not with people, but with software. So what we do is we embed, automate, and continuously optimize backup functions, infrastructure, orchestration activities, and we keep the software up to date for customers. It's a full backup solution. So what that means is that we're giving our partners the opportunity to have a discussion about business outcomes with the customers, not just features and functions.
So Chris, that's great. So why don't you tell us where is Cobalt Iron located and kind of how are they spread out throughout the world?
So the head office is in a place called Lawrence, which is in Kansas, not far outside of Kansas City. But in terms of the spread across the world, you can find us located pretty much everywhere. I'm located near Reading in the UK, which is very much part of what we consider our version of Silicon Valley in the UK.
I used to work for Veritas, and Veritas had an office in Reading, so I know it quite well. How did Cobalt Iron get started? What was kind of the business challenge that they kind of saw in the marketplace that said, hey, let's start a company around this?
Yeah, so that's really down, I think, mostly down to Richard Spurlock, our CEO. He was part of a team that would go out to visit mainly enterprise type customers where they were having issues with their backup infrastructures. They would see a lot of pain in the customers and things just often were not set up well, or things were just too complex. And he came up with the vision of creating this solution that removes complexity and pain for customers. And a lot of it is through automation, hence why we're a software as a service solution. Things like the software is automated. We automate the software currency and things like that. So we take away about 80 to 90% of the daily tasks from the backup team in the customers, freeing them up to focus on other issues that they need to focus on.
So would it be a correct statement? I hear the word automation a lot, and I think that's critically important, especially in the data protection world. You're really bringing simplicity to the overall infrastructure. Am I hearing that correctly?
So in terms of simplicity, that's absolutely what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to remove all of the complex tasks that are created by using a lot of different tools, different operating systems and the like. And we put this simplifying wrapper around them, allowing the customers to really just choose what they want to back it up, what the schedule is, what the retention policy is for the data they need to protect. And by removing 80 or 90% of the workload from them, we're freeing them up to achieve other tasks.
So, Chris, maybe let's have a philosophical conversation for a second. I've been in the data protection space for a number of years. I'm assuming, obviously, you have as well. And I've seen over the course of maybe, let's say, the last decade, that the data protection administrator's job has really evolved, right? Such from the standpoint of where they really were 100% focused on data protection every single day, focused on making sure everything was working within the backup, making sure the retention schedules were being followed, helping with, simple recoveries and that sort of thing, to a time today when, they've got a million other things to do, right? So the I guess I'm saying the better you can bring simplicity and automation to that part of the world, you're really helping that traditional administrator, right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the main things they're beginning to focus on now is security of the data as well, recovering from ransomware being probably the primary aspect of that. And there's a lot of tools built into to Compass that we can leverage to increase their security to almost unassailable level.
Great. Okay, Chris, thank you very much for that overview. I think what we want to do now is we want to dive into the technology and have you give us a nice overview of Cobalt Iron, how it works, and its value inside of the corporation.
Okay, yeah. So we really want to look at what is Compass. So Compass is data protection software delivered as a service, like I said. So not with people, but with software where we embed, we automate, we continuously optimize all the backup functions, the infrastructure, orchestration activities, and we keep the software up to date for the customers. Compass supports many different cloud providers as well for many different cloud use cases. So we can definitely describe it as being cloud ready. We all know that IBM Spectrum Protect is the highest scaling backup software in the market. Compass leverages Spectrum Protect as one of the data protection tools in our portfolio, and that lets us scale to petabytes of data, tens of petabytes of data, even in data centers or across thousands of locations. And Compass automates all of that, allowing you to run backup servers across hundreds or thousands of locations without lifting a finger. And this is part of the new discussion that we can have when we're talking about Compass. Compass provides end user self-service to set up, review, monitor backups all by yourself. And Compass is driving out the cost and complexity. It's delivering consistently reliable backups and protects the backup data from ransomware and cyber attacks. And because Compass is offering a full solution, selling Compass is giving our partners the opportunity to have a discussion, like I said, about business outcomes instead of the features and the functions. So we can start to see how Compass is approaching backup data protection differently to what customers are expecting and what other vendors are offering them as well. So what I'd like to do is really have a look at to see how Compass is transforming data protection for customers. If we look at some of the products out in the marketplace, it's pretty noisy out there with a lot of claims from different companies about backup, and Compass is that new way to approaching data protection. So we can look at some of these enterprise backup tools. We can compare them briefly to what we're doing, what everybody else is doing. And most vendors, customers think of backup, they're thinking of backup products that are on the market today. And if we look at those products, we can think of Compass having all of the same enterprise backup features and functions that the customers want. But in reality, there's a lot more to enterprise backup than just a simple backup product, as we can see here in the next part. So in addition to the backup software itself, customers need to purchase and manage the backup infrastructure, including the compute, the operating system, the backup catalog, and the storage to sit behind it. Sometimes this can be packaged as an appliance or as a hyperconverged product, but a lot of the time it's all going to be separate. And in any case, the management and the orchestration of those infrastructure components is on the customer. That's just the products themselves. So also on top of that, the customer is going to be responsible for dozens, maybe hundreds of additional manual admin and management tasks that take up a lot of their time and resources. So we're looking at software maintenance, capacity management, performance management, health monitoring, and really importantly now, ransomware protection as well. This is creating a lot of complexity, risks, pains for the businesses. And as data and business expectations grow, complexities and costs are increasing over time on top of that as well. So the current state for most organizations then is these multiple siloed products that they might have to purchase a la carte, and they're lacking scale, security, visibility, capabilities that organizations increasingly expect from their investments. And quite often what we see that's quite sad is the customers will jump from one product to another to try and achieve better results. So they end up trading one set of problems for another. And then the reason that Compass is different is our unique architecture. So the backup software, the backup infrastructure is embedded and configured, it's orchestrated automatically. So of all the products a customer had to purchase separately and manage and set up and maintain, they're consolidated into a single solution. In addition, daily admin management tasks are not only software automated and humanless, but automatically analyzed and optimized to improve the performance. So Compass has all the features and functionality of a mature backup only product, plus the automation that we've talked about, plus additional features that are unmatched in the industry, including analytics-driven optimization, automation, the security features, multi-cloud maturity, and extreme scalability. We have customers going up to tens and hundreds of petabytes. The solution assurance, enterprise application integration, and even personalized account support for every customer. So Compass customers have a totally different experience and completely different business outcomes. And with Compass, customers alleviate their pain points and realize critical business outcomes like reduced TCO, minimized backup security risks, simplified operations, service delivery excellence, and a future-proofed infrastructure as well. So the overall business outcome with Compass is unmatched operational excellence for our backup operating customers.
Great, Chris. That was a great overview. I really appreciate that. So let's just kind of make sure everybody's clear here, right? So Cobalt Iron is a company. The name of the product is called Compass, and that's what you guys connect with Spectrum Protect, and in order to provide this level of services for our clients. Does it also work with Spectrum Protect Plus?
So it doesn't work with Spectrum Protect Plus at the moment. Within our lab environment, we've integrated Spectrum Protect Plus for every release dating back to 10.1.2. We have active plans underway to support some of the Spectrum Protect Plus features later this year.
Great. And so that's very helpful, so that our teams know about how this gets implemented and what it can be implemented with. So one of the things, and one of the big reasons why we're doing these SpectrumCasts, is to really help talk to our customers and to our sales teams and our business partners about the availability of new capabilities to the existing portfolio. We've had some conversations about, with the ever-changing speed in which things change today, in the world, and the needs that people have, I don't know of any particular one vendor that can keep up with being able to satisfy every single business requirement. One of the great things we're trying to do at IBM is to work with our business partners that actually take to heart some of these key core problems and integrate them in with the solution to provide the customer with a better overall experience. So what we're going to be doing here is, in the upcoming months, is enable Cobalt Iron with their Compass product in the IBM sales price book, so that you can actually buy Spectrum Protect, Spectrum Protect Plus, Spectrum Protect, or Cobalt Iron, for example, as an integrated part of your overall solution. Chris, do you know any more about kind of how that's going to happen, or what's going to go down there?
So I think we're well down the road now to being available through the PPA scheme. I think we're expecting some imminent announcements to that. The big benefit within IBM is that the IBM sellers won't just be selling Compass and achieving a Spectrum Protect sale through that. They'll also be selling other parts of our infrastructure. For example, the flash storage at the back end, the Compass operating system uses Red Hat. And there's also then the cloud integration, where we have our analytics engine in the cloud. So there's lots of different areas that we also will enable IBM sellers to be able to sell through PPA.
Great, Chris. Thank you very much. So now we know a little bit about who Cobalt is, how they kind of got started, the business problems and challenges that they solve. We understand a little bit about the technology, in which you'll be able to go to our portal and find more about Cobalt Iron and how it fits into the overall solution set. And now what I'd like to do, Chris, is spend a little bit of time talking about, in every way, in order to validate any piece of technology, it's always great to have an understanding of a business partner, where they've integrated with the solution and they're using it in a customer environment. So a customer case study or something like that. So I think you guys have one fairly ready to talk a little bit about a client win here.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. So it's a large healthcare provider in the US. They had a challenge that they were using 11 different backup products to manage their infrastructure. And what we're talking about here
Wait a
is
second,
about
wait a second, wait a second. Did you say 11 different backup products?
I did say 11 different backup products. I can list some of them, but I won't. But that's what we helped to clear them out. Yeah. They were spread across about 250 remote sites across the states. And what we've helped them do by implementing Compass is to reduce cost, first of all, by about 40%. Compared to what they were achieving beforehand. We removed all of their complex setup of tape vendors and tape libraries. We've improved their SLAs a lot. We've been able to integrate into their IT orchestration and operations, which they were unable to do previously because of the different complex solutions that were there. We're helping them leverage IBM Cloud as well as a result. One of the really interesting things I think about this is that originally they had anticipated a 2-year swap out process. And we managed to convince them that, okay, we can do it in about a year instead, to give them some expectations. And at the end of the day, because what we do is we provide the complete infrastructure to the customers, the rollout came down to 6 weeks and 4 days when they'd anticipated over 2 years to start with. So that shows just how easy it is to set up and get the Compass infrastructure running for the customers.
That's impressive. 6 weeks and 4 days instead of 2 years.
Yes.
And when you say swap out, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Were they? I just want to better understand. They're getting rid of all 11 and they're going down to a handful, or what was kind of the objective there?
So the objective was simplification. They just had such a headache by using 11 tools. Obviously, you've got all the different training aspects. You have to have people that can use the different tools to achieve the different results. They had physical and virtual systems. They needed robust reporting. They needed analytics that could provide information back to management for future planning, for example. Compass was selected down to the, because of the ease of use, the superior functionality that one product could give them everything that they required. And then the proven ability to work with both the physical and the virtual infrastructure. So they needed to simplify. That was really their key aim.
So simplification is definitely key. And anytime you talk simplification, you always are talking about a huge cost savings and operational expense. And I agree with you. Having to keep skills up and available. I mean, we just talked a moment ago about how the evolution of the data protection administrator has evolved over time. They already have another 100 other things they have to do to then stay on top of 11 different things. It's kind of tricky. So, and then you combine that with the fact that if they were kind of trying to make things a little bit simpler, they were probably going to get rid of a few of their backup technologies. Although, you know, maybe not, right? So sometimes, like they always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if some of these applications were focused on some specific areas of the business where it just needed to be protected and it was doing fine, I understand that. Keep it going. And I think we see at IBM, 100% of our customers have more than one, probably more than 3 backup products in their environment. So this isn't an uncommon state. But do you have any thoughts or any knowledge around, besides the OpEx savings, was there any CapEx savings or percentage-wise, you know, you're paying your maintenance costs, anything like that you could share with us?
Not with this customer, I haven't got that data, but with other organizations, I've certainly seen where we've come in. Because we are an OpEx-based model, a lot of organizations like the look of that, because that changes the way that they're not having to buy an infrastructure every few years or anything like that. They're able to spread the cost over time. I myself have dealt with large financial organizations and the like, where when I presented to them the solution, they've fallen off the chair, so to speak. And one very telling comment from a large financial customer backup manager was, does that include the back end storage. He just didn't believe that the cost that we gave to him included the storage, because that tends to be a large part of the puzzle in terms of the cost. Because of the way that we utilize Spectrum Protect, and we have that incremental forever methodology within the backup, and then we compress and we dedupe it, the amount of storage that we require, it tends to be a lot smaller than prospects are anticipating. So instead of being by far the largest chunk of the cost, it's becoming much more of a manageable cost in terms of the total solution, rather than something that people are not expecting when they're looking at the whole solution.
I totally understand that. And you know, what's tricky these days, especially for us in the technology space and or in the technology world, is you got to kind of convince a customer that, yeah, you're going to have to spend money and buy something. So I'm going to shell some extra money out. I'm going to buy Cobalt Iron, but the capabilities that I'm going to see, that I'm going to get and benefit from in my environment are totally going to help me on the back end, right? And that comes down to the total cost of ownership and your return on your investment, et cetera, et cetera. But I really think we need to get back to the roots of, yeah, I'm gonna spend some money for this, but I'm really gonna help save. And in an environment where OpEx is a big thing these days, and being able to kind of switch over and have things be easier to manage and be able to take advantage of the cloud and utilize things like your upgrade processes and procedures, things that used to really take down, and I don't mean take down to the point of it doesn't work, but I mean just really put a burden on IT to be able to kind of keep everything up to speed and keep everything as modern as possible. And we like to be modern, right? You talked a little bit about ransomware. Every time we kind of catch something or find something in the code, we go and we fix it. You want to be modern, right? You want to make sure that that isn't a hole or a gap in your infrastructure. So it's important to stay current, right? And when we tend to find people are always, not necessarily always current. And with backup, like we just said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, you might not know that there's a hole or that there's a gap and until it's too late. And you obviously you don't want that.
Sorry, that's very true. Ransomware and cybersecurity is something I want to touch on very, very quickly. Because of the way that we provide the infrastructure to the customers, that appears as a completely separate domain inside of their infrastructure. And what that means is we've removed a lot of the attack vectors where customers could suffer a ransomware attack. And that's another reduction of the TCO as well, obviously, that then if they have a solution such as ours where the data is locked away in a vault that can't be reached from the customer's production systems, then they're not going to be paying out a ransomware attack down the line. And at the end of the day, backup is the ultimate insurance policy, not just for ransomware, but for any other eventualities that a customer could suffer. We have some great stories from our customers where they've suffered ransomware attacks. And in one case, the customer suffered an attack. We helped them recover. They unfortunately suffered another attack soon after, but they were so confident in Compass being able to protect their data that when the ransomware gang said that they were going to go after their backups, our customer was just like, yeah, knock yourself out, you can try. So security is a very, very important feature in Compass as well.
Chris, you said something really important, and I kind of want to highlight that, right? It's unfortunate that a customer had an attack and then they had a second attack. But throughout listening to your process, you talked about automation. One of the things that we talk about as a best practice in the ransomware in the recovery of your data from a ransom attack or a malware attack is, if you've practiced your recovery set of procedures enough times, you can get good at being less fearful about something happening. And when you start to automate the process and you take out the human error and the mistakes that can happen in a time of panic, right? This has happened. You're being asked for, tens, thousands, millions of dollars to get your data back. The business is freaking out. You want to try to help them. But if you have an automated process that goes through your standard run book set of procedures for bringing the data back, and you practice that, and it's automated, and you can do it time and time again, you're taking out a lot of the risk from your environment, aren't you not?
That's absolutely true. And backups are only as good as your ability to restore. So the more you practice recovery, the more likely you are to to be able to restore when the time comes that you might need to do that. And I think everybody does need to reach the when not if state in their mind now with ransomware and how prevalent it is. And of course, our team in support at Cobalt Iron are also on hand to help our customers restore. And that's what's happened to our unfortunate customers who have had these incidents. We've been on hand and very much guided the customers through the process, as well as having their own internal processes to follow.
I'm glad you said that, Chris, because one of the other best practices we talk about when talking to customers about things to think about when thinking of how should I look at ransomware, or what should I be thinking about is who's the vendor that's providing you the technology, because are they going to be there for you in the event of an attack happens? And at IBM, we're constantly on the phone helping our clients and just go through whatever procedure they need to get the business back up and running. And it's great to hear you guys are there for your clients too, and we totally appreciate that. And one of the reasons why we want to build this great partnership together. So Chris, I want to thank you very, very much for your time. This has been a great overview. I'm excited about the possibilities that we have here by being able to take our products to market together, so to speak. It's really great, and make it simple and easy for the buyer to consume the products, from a single vendor. And I encourage you, if you're a business partner, sales team, or a selling sales team, to have a look at this solution and figure out how you can use it to complement what your partners are doing. So thanks again, Chris. I hope we get to talk in the future, maybe a little while from now, and talk about some of the great success we've had.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve.
Great. Thank you.